I just want to tell you, that's just a fucking stupid way to start a conversation.
So Matt Gaetz was on Bill Maher's podcast recently, and early on in their conversation, Gaetz told Bill that his HBO show Real Time is terrible.
Our origin story for me goes back to Politically Incorrect, what I still believe is one of the, I'm not just kissing your ass, one of the best shows that was on TV.
Thanks.
It's way better than your show now, but it's
what politically so incorrect. Insulting. You peaked 20 years ago, Bill. Let's be friends.
Now, I agree with this statement. I think it's obvious to anyone who has seen both of Bill's shows, and I understand that these days that's actually a very small group because Bill has basically alienated all of his audience in favor of a tiny class of rich business owners. But more on that in a little bit. First, let's hear from Bill why he's never been better.
It's certainly not better than Real Time. It just isn't. Real Time, we have on actually intellectual people and people who are expert in talking about the subjects we're talking about. Politically Incorrect, we had, Carrot Top and Pauly Shore on.
No, but what I liked about it is that you would interface those folks with lawmakers, with authors, people like that, and you do that on Real Time as well.
But not Pauly Shore. You have to be knowledgeable of what we're talking about. It's a much more adult show.
So he's basically saying Bill used to do a good job of hosting a wide range of opinions, but Bill, he refuses to accept this compliment. He can't accept that the best part of his show was his moderation and not his voice. This is where it's very important to remember who Bill is. He is Carrot Top. There is nothing in his background that makes him an expert. He was never a journalist or an academic. He's a B-list comedian turned pop philosopher. And honestly, that's fine. That's okay. It's fine to listen to regular voices. And you would think that fellow regular voice Bill Maher would agree with me, but I guess not. Let's hear more from him about how bad his show was.
It was what it was. It was a design train wreck. People from different walks of life. Maybe you were young, it appealed to you more then. What don't you like about the current show?
I mean, we all know he'd like to pretend that Real Time is some high-minded show, but the reality is that it thrives off confrontation. The 4 biggest moments all involve some right-wing guest either agreeing with or lightly sparring with Bill. And often Bill, when he has one of these guests on, he will revert right back to the politically incorrect format of having experts speak with casual observers.
So hold on, are you the person who understands the officially codified doctrine of Islam? You're the interpreter of that, so you can say, well, this is...
I'm actually well educated on this topic.
It's gross, it's racist.
It's not, but it's so nuts.
It's like saying those stateless, shifty Jew.
You're not listening to what we are saying.
You guys are saying, if you want to be liberals, believe in liberal principles, like freedom of speech, like, we are endowed by our forefathers with inalienable rights, like all men are created equal.
Ben, we have to be able to criticize bad ideas. And
of course we do. No liberal doesn't want to criticize bad ideas.
But Islam at this moment is the motherlode of bad ideas.
Jesus.
So we have
That's
ideas
just a fact.
like blasphemy.
It's an ugly thing.
Apostasy.
It's basic liberal
let me
principle
unpack
is
it.
tolerance.
Let me unpack it.
But not for intolerance.
No, of course not. But the picture you're painting is, to some extent, true, but is hugely incomplete.
Or how about the more than 1 billion people who aren't fanatical, who don't punish women, who just want to go to the store,
wait a second.
sandwiches,
Wait a second.
5 times a day, and don't do any of the things. But you're saying all Muslims.
Wait a second.
Stereotyping.
Wait a second.
Things, and you painting the whole religion with that.
No. Let's get down to who has the right answer here. 1 billion people, you say. All these billion people don't hold any of these...
5 or something.
Don't hold these pernicious beliefs?
No,
I would.
No, they don't.
That's just not true, Ben. That's just not true.
People who would actually believe and enact that you murder somebody if they believe Islam is not the majority of Muslims at all.
Okay, let me break this down for you.
Did you single out a transgender student for ridicule during a recent speech you made on her campus? Did you do that?
Well, yes. First of all, wasn't a student. He had already left the university. And I make no apologies for protecting women and children from men who are confused about their sexual identity.
Well, I'm confused about who this is because pronouns are so important. If you call Caitlyn Jenner he, you're a bad person. So
yeah, I did it on purpose.
You did. So this is a man
I
who...
misgendered this person.
It's sad because the same arguments that we use against gay people, treating them like aliens who just wanted to fuck anything that moved, and that's why we should avoid them at all costs.
No, I think there's a big difference.
Well, let me finish my thought, please. No, it's true. there's a difference without a distinction because it's using the same type of arguments. It's like when people try to compare gay and black. Yeah, they're not the same thing. No. We share an invisibility. You know, people didn't see us in society, and gay people hid out from society. Mm-hmm. Right. But there were a lot of the same issues that you have to deal with when you're marginalized.
Well, they are disproportionately involved in those kinds of crimes.
They're what?
Vastly disproportionately involved in sex crime.
Who is?
Gender people?
Yes.
Based on what statistic?
I don't know.
That's not a controversial statistic. And
it is a controversial statistic.
And frankly, you know, you're saying, you know, you're suggesting these people are the victims of some kind of discrimination. Well, I'm saying to you, this is a psychiatric disorder.
I didn't say discrimination.
This is a psychiatric disorder, like identity disorder, or like sociopathy or something. You know, I don't want these people around little girls in Boston.
No. Homosexuality was called a disorder. It was a psychological disorder.
Maybe it is. I feel pretty disordered.
Well, maybe you are.
Maybe it is.
But most homosexuals are not.
You know what? No, I think most gays have a long road, actually. Most gays have a long road to coming to terms with their sexuality, and
because
all of them end up
of the way society treats them.
No, of course it isn't. Don't be ridiculous.
No, of course it's the way society treats them. If society said we're fine with gay people and it's 1890, you think in 1990 people are going to have an issue with it?
This takes us back to one of the only real distinctions between politically incorrect and real time. On Bill's new show, he has enough control of a guest list to invite whoever he wants. And he's used this control to isolate out the regular voices he used to have on politically incorrect. Just look at what happened when Bill made the mistake of inviting a comedian on because he thought they were going to shit on cancel culture together.
We've never met, and you know, I've always enjoyed you. I think you're a great comic, but I thought tonight maybe we would like sort of share a cry together because I think we have something in common, which is that we think political correctness may be ruining comedy, or at least threatening it. Because I know you've had your problems with that, and you did a routine recently about how women like it rough, and then, of course, the internet police got all over you.
Well, I gotta be honest with you, I didn't notice if that happened, because I don't pay attention to it. I don't read comments.
Happened. Yeah, they hated you.
Yeah, but who did?
The haters.
This is my thing. Who? Like
the
20
haters.
people? I mean, I don't go on stage and worry about what people are thinking. I mean, if you can choose to take a comedian seriously, but that doesn't mean that I now meant the joke, and you can start saying that there's statements, you know?
Okay.
Did that make sense?
He's very careful these days not to have on voices that might challenge his beliefs. I mean, even here, what we're seeing is most likely a mistake. He didn't realize that Burr might actually disagree with what he thinks, and that's not what he wants. He wants a safe environment where he can pander to his audience of corporate shills. And we can learn more about his audience just by looking a little closer at his crazy podcast. Let's look at the first thing we are shown when this video starts.
Club Random is brought to you by the audio marketing gurus at Radioactive Media. Go to radioactivemedia.com or text the word RANDOM to 511-511. Discover how audio marketing can surpass your current strategies with new and innovative ways that sound better.
It's obvious that Bill Maher is a big part of his company's marketing strategy. On Google, the two top subheadings for their search results are About Us and Bill Maher. It seems like they handle ads for a bunch of radio and podcast people, including Bill, but seemingly Bill's the only creator that also does ads for the company directly. And that's so telling about Bill's role in our society. A company that markets ads to targeted audiences thinks Bill's audience are the type of people to purchase million-dollar ad campaigns.
How are you, as a business owner or CMO, going to ensure your business not only survives, but thrives?
Now let's remember that only 7% of Americans own a business. So Bill's base is at most 7% of people. And wait, also CMOs, whatever that is. You know, he's so comfortable in his type of corporate jargon that Bill doesn't even explain what a CMO is. And I've had white-collar jobs before, and honestly, I didn't know what that was. It's just not relevant to my life. I can assume it has something to do with marketing, but why is Bill's audience so accustomed to these executive terms that it's a part of their everyday life? That it's a part of Bill's everyday life? So, you know, that's not a philosopher. That's not even really an entertainer. He's just a corporate robot who makes people feel comfortable about being complacent in this system. And once again, he's the only major creator that I could find who's done ads directly for Radioactive Media. When you go on their YouTube, They have 2 videos from Bill Maher doing ads for them, and no one else even close to his level of fame. And if you don't see how that's weird, maybe you're the type of radioactive man this company is looking for. Bill claims that Real Time is a more adult show, but both of his shows were surrounded by controversy. So let's look at the 2 moments that define Bill and see which one reflects adultness better.
On Politically Incorrect, the show that once followed this one, he made this infamous comment less than a week after 9/11.
We have been the cowards, lobbing cruise missiles from 2,000 miles away. That's cowardly.
That is a
Staying in the airplane
yes.
when it hits the building. Say what you want about it, not cowardly.
Considering the culture of nationalism that had already started to take place, this was a brave thing for Bill to do. You know, at least relative to his other controversy.
Now to the growing outrage here at home over the racial slur on a live television show. Talk show host Bill Maher using a derogatory, highly charged racial expression in conversation with Republican Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska.
I got to get to Nebraska more.
You're welcome. We'd love to have you work in the fields with us.
Work in the field?
That's part of that. That's
Senator. I'm a house. No, it's a joke.
And it's very telling that on Politically Incorrect, he lost his job and his advertisers over this. But on Real Time, he was back the next week because he had learned what was controversial, quote unquote, but within the bounds of what advertisers would still accept. He learned how to invoke the same emotions, but without actually speaking any truth to power.
You know, but you be bucking up against that line a little bit. You know, you got a lot of black jokes. You know what I'm saying? You do.
Well, against racists. Not, yes.
Sometimes you sound like a redneck trucker up
No,
there.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
Now that
Yes,
I gotta,
you do.
No, I don't. That
Yes,
I gotta
you do.
push back on.
All right, it's my opinion.
And that's not adult. Unless you mean being an adult is making the cynical decision to stop doing what's right in favor of what's easy. People like Bill think if you don't submit, then you're naive. I don't think his audience always felt this way, but it seems they do now. And that's the biggest issue with granting a pseudo-intellectual like Bill creative control. If he's not being challenged, he's complacent. And Real Time as a format does not challenge him. So it's become a boring, complacent show for boring, complacent people. So maybe next time we'll go deeper into some of his self-serving beliefs. But for now, we'll leave you on that. He peaked 25 years ago. He is very much a rotten egg.